And the idea is facts tell, but stories sell. So we want to get you in that story selling and that storytelling mindset where you can actually communicate to real humans at the end of the day.
This is zero NDA, where we open up the creative process. We do it live. We do it with founders and creators. Jeff, right now, we want to be like a fly on the wall. I'm like really curious to know what are the questions you would ask to get to a really meaningful story with a specific demographic that we're trying to target.
That sets us up for a really nice conversation. The idea here, especially when I work with technical founders, is we know we can get lost in the facts. And the idea is facts tell, but stories sell. So we want to get you in that story selling and that storytelling mindset where you can actually communicate to real humans at the end of the day. We know you have a business case. We know you have issues with adoption at the end level. What I want to hear a bit more about first is your story, Ahmed. So let's not park those slides. Let's get those slides on the screen. And now that we're using boomers as our test case, let's put our boomer lens on. I'm going to say I have experience with boomers. My parents are boomers. We can make certain assumptions, and we're going to make certain assumptions today. We don't have time in this conversation to jump into research. We're not going to ask AI to give us the answers. We're going to go by gut feel today. How does that sound?
That sounds like a good idea. Let's go to the slide then. So I'm the founder of Product Shop. This is a venture studio based in Montreal. My team specialty goes from like fluid dynamics to physicists to engineers, the whole spectrum. And we tend to have a new way of thinking about a product and how we solve it. Our capability goes from hardware to infrastructure to mechanical design, electrical design. We go from the whole spectrum. And lately, we've been working on a project called Access. This is what we're talking about today. So Access is a mobile-first interaction system for managing buildings and relationship in the building. From the building manager, from the condo boards to the residents, we're trying to have a holistic approach to technology in the sets of a building. Example, we manage door entry from intercom to delivery management to Wi-Fi integration and how you interact with the building when you go to common areas. We manage system access for opening doors without key fobs. We have also a way to communicate with residents directly. So we're trying to centralize the interaction to a certain extent.
That's a good setup. Tell me more.
So, okay, what do you want to know specifically? Any specifics?
So tell me how you think your product, well, actually, let's back up. What is your problem? What is your storytelling problem today in the guise that we want to appeal or make your product appeal to boomers? That could be the brief right there, but tell me what you're struggling with.
So the thing is, it's not a B2C business. So I'm not having a direct relationship to my customer. So I'm not selling a product to the resident directly or the tenants of a building. I'm in a situation that I need to deal with the B2B framing, right? So I need to talk to board managers like HOA stuff or REITs, someone who owns multi-units buildings, and I need to sell them the technology first for these guys for first adoption step, and then converting the resident in the ecosystem aftermath. So that's two-way dynamics create certain struggles in terms of offerings and in terms of prioritization of how we should communicate around that. Because we can talk to building managers. At the end of the day, for them is cost and bottom line. That's all they want to know. How much is going to cost me and how much is going to make me safe? So that's kind of an easy discussion where we're solving this pretty well. We acquired 5 buildings. We have a pipeline of another 6 buildings, and we're looking to convert more than 1,000 users, I think right now around 1,000 in the last 6 months. So it's going, we can do that. Now, I just don't want to forget my end goal, which is giving value to the resident, because converting the B2B side feels like it's a failure in the long run. I don't see the interest of it. But if I'm able to harness the relationship with the B2C side, which is the resident, I think there's a long-term vision in that.
Great. So that's a nice spiel for a banker or an investor or a board of directors. Tell me now, reverse the lens. Say, I'm in the mindset of wanting to improve people's lives who are using my product. Give me a little bit about how you think your product improves the lives of tenants or condo owners.
So let's go back to anxiety then. So if you've been in a condo, we actually used to be neighbors. That's the fun story. So we can talk about condos because we were in the same board to one point. So storyline is, When you have users that actually like come in and have issues with the intercom entry point, right? Like they struggle to be able to reach out to a resident. Someone is like elderly, doesn't know how to open the door, whatever. That can create like an anxiety, and we're solving that anxiety using our application. The idea you can invite people to it so other people can open the door for you. That kind of first base interaction on the technology helps to a certain like alleviate that like level issue number one. Now, when it comes to infrastructure, like if you've been to buildings, example is interesting is camera access. We see a lot of elderly people coming into buildings. There's a parking lot. They feel afraid sometimes of like, just being on that open space alone. So having access to a certain surveillance camera before going somewhere kind of give them some sense of safety. And that's actually a request coming from residents. Now, most of the building have camera systems, but they don't give you access to them because they don't have the infrastructure for it, right? When you go to connectivity is interesting. A lot of people are moving to EVs, right? And I mean, our buildings are not built for EVs. Mostly they're built for like gasoline cars. So they don't have charger infrastructure and they don't have the connectivity to monitor your charger. So again, going to a community that is more elderly, electric car coming in, my car is at 10%, I'm plugging in, I'm not sure if it's not charging or not, I want to see and monitor a distance. This is the kind of technology that we're trying to integrate to give you a holistic view of the building, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. If you're sitting down with what you, again, quote unquote, call a boomer today, and Ahmed has to tell me in one sentence what Access does or what Access does for me or my life, how would you talk about it? What would you tell me in a sentence?
In a sentence? That's a good one. Hold on. Simplifying the case will be having visibility what's happening in your environment outside of your apartment to some extent. Between like right now you're living in that apartment, you're living in that house, but really you don't have much visibility what's going on outside. And the Access give you that like kind of like visibility to a certain extent about it. And when I say visibility, the term is a bit, might want to change the wording, is just having an intent of interaction from the outside. So I'm able to see what's going on in my environment to a certain extent. That's how I resume it.
So I'm going to reframe this a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. When we're looking to tell a story, we want to get in through the heart that then kind of triggers over the mind. We know that people run by basically two systems, system one and system two. System one is emotional. System two is logical. And we're probably 80+% emotional. So let's start getting to the emotional aspect of here, of the product or of the experience here. And what we want to do is we want to look at three things. We want to look at things like friction. What is the friction in their life right now that you can solve for? What is the shift that happens as they start using your product? And what does the future look like for them? So what I want to get to today, and I'd love to get to today, again, the assumptions I'm making of boomers is not as technologically savvy as maybe younger generations, but pretty good, right? Cell phones have been around for 25+ years now. Every quote unquote boomer I know, my parents included, have cell phones. They know how to text, they know how to send photos. They might not be as adept at downloading apps and using them and configuring them. So we have to talk about your user experience. The other thing is just this resistance to change. As humans, as people, we are resistant to change. We're resistant to the unknown as is. Older generations are probably a little bit more stuck in their ways. So we have to change habits here. And the other thing is around friends. I find that when boomers latch onto something, whether it's a good restaurant, whether it's a good piece of technology, they always tell their friends about it. But if it sucks, they're going to tell more friends about it. So what I'd love to get to today is the sentence that they might tell their friends about Access. That would be a big point of success here. Because if you could actually have a building, a condo owner, a boomer client say, oh my God, look at what this thing does. Look at how my life has changed, because I think you would be already onto something in terms of insight. And what we want here is, from what I said about friction and shift and future, we want to bake in insight. We want to actually look into their lives, and we'll make assumptions today. We actually want to look into their lives and say, what is the thing they're doing that is very frustrating right now in terms of how buildings are managed, how access is managed, how EVs are getting charged, how they don't know who's knocking at the door, but they would love to see if it was their grandkid ringing and saying, hi, Papa, let me in, right? These are the emotional elements here. So I'd love to get to places like that where we start understanding some real use cases. So, based on what I'm asking here, what do you think is some of the initial friction? What is the now state of boomers who don't have access but could really benefit from it? What's
So to
happening?
start, let's start about like the current state of the affair in the industry or the business that does stuff like that. So we come from like most of the intercom system are like from the 90s. It's a phone call. I mean, you almost not hear someone talking, right? So most of the time it's actually a joke. I'll bet you if you go to next building next to your place right now and just like ring the first person and just muffle, someone will open the door for you. So it's so like limited in terms of like, there's no such thing as an experience. If someone rings, you just hit 9 and open the door. That's what most people do. So we already bring certain WebRTC, which we can do video feed. You already see someone's face. Let's actually give you a certain sense of certainty who's in front of you, right? So that's one of the good gains we have. And that gives you at least a certain, hey, at least I know who's at the door. Because right now someone muffled say, hey, it's me. I'm just going to open the door.
So let's actually pause there. Let's attack that one.
Yeah.
So let's look at a situation now. We're going to make the assumption that without access, I have to be at home. I have to be waiting. I have to wait for it to ring in my own apartment, and I got to go press that button on the wall. Am I getting close to some level of reality?
Yeah, people
here?
use their cell phone, but like 50% of the time doesn't work because the line is not good quality, and like you click the button, it doesn't open the door. Those are the frustration that we solve already with the system.
Okay, why and how? Why is yours better?
Because we're not just using the same tech. So most of those intercom systems are using like legacy phone lines. Like they're literally like what you said, buzzer button, right? Like it's the tone system. And the tone system, what happened is quite interesting. I mean, it's going to be a tech spiel for 30 seconds. Is actually we switched from landline.
We're going to turn it to a human spiel. So give me the tech spiel.
Okay. So, all right. So we moved from landlines that has a certain bandwidth to cell phone that has a different like adaptive bandwidth. So when you're in the phone, you remember when you go in the tunnel, the audio quality stutters and then you go back and it continues, right? That kind of like compression, decompression of the audio quality, it doesn't fit with the tone system, who was like analog and had like a better bandwidth. So that conversion from like analog to digital in the phone line make the legacy system of intercom not working well, because when you buzz, it's a tone that you keep high. And if you're having those like, bandwidth changes or like compression, basically you lose that capacity of opening. So maybe 20 to 50% of the time you click the buzzer and you don't have the nice phone reception, you're basically not opening the door. That's how in a technical.
Okay, so in human speak, can we say can we say you hear better? Can we paint a picture that when your granddaughter wants to grab mom's phone to ring and buzz grandpa, you can actually hear her better and saying, "Grandpa, let us in."
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. So basically, yeah.
The picture I'm painting here is, let's start turning the technology into stories I can understand. Okay. So the thing I'm picturing in my mind is what I was trying to get at before. Again, assumptions. I'm going to make a lot of assumptions today. I'm going to make the assumption that you might convert a building that does have that buzzer on the wall, or older concrete building, larger concrete building, whatever it is. Connectivity is not amazing. There's already some frustration with the phone. They don't hear as well. Sometimes it's not connected. Maybe there's no camera. So now I'm in a situation where I might be stuck in my condo, but I'm a social boomer and it's not card night at my place, or it's not card lunch at my place. I'd like to go down to the rec room. I'd like to go down to the neighbors. I'd even like to go across the street for coffee. All of a sudden, you have a group playing and socializing, and the phone rings. They say, "Who's that?" "Oh, it's my granddaughter and my daughter, and they want to come in." "Hang on, guys, I'm letting you in." Already there's an emotional factor there of letting people back into your life, right? Access. We'll get there in a second. I want to hear more potential stories like that. So here, the one I just gave you is, I'm going to make the assumption people don't want to be trapped in their house when a delivery is coming, when someone's coming to ring, whether it's friends, family, whatever. They want control. They want big fonts probably on the app. We'll talk about that in a second. And they want to hear. They want to hear well, and they want clarity, and they want safety, and they want a simplicity. So give me other use cases that you think might be possible of people playing a game together or having lunch and the phone rings and they can let someone in. They are literally not at home. but talk to their favorite delivery person, say, oh, just leave it in front, like whatever it is. I know there's aspects of delivery as well. Give me a few more ideas around that without the techno jargon, with the what people are actually doing and how they actually live.
You know what? I might reverse the equation. Actually, it's interesting. You went through the emotional connection, and like I want to see my granddaughter and my daughter to come in the house and open the door, see their face. So just like the emotional outreach. I'll say the opposite. Most of people that I know in that kind of like age group, whatever, are more like socially anxious, and they want to limit the interaction with strangers. And what we offer in that services is, on the contrary, we give you the freedom of mind. Is like, you don't need to go downstairs and open the door because 30% of the system doesn't work. No, you can create access codes, and you can share the access code with your delivery guy. And then when they come in, they can input the access code to open the main door, and you get a picture and notification. So you don't need to answer the phone because you don't know who's talking on the other side, right? And that limitation is quite interesting. Is now I can offset my anxiety and saying I'm expecting delivery in 3 hours. Well, the guy will use the code whenever they arrive, and you're gonna send a picture and notification when the package.
So let's look at what people might be doing instead of going downstairs. Instead of, right? So you give me the idea of don't bother me.
It's true. It is true. People sometimes don't want to be bothered. It's like some people don't want to interact with strangers, and they're working doing something else. So at that point, they just want to remove it as a self-served. Hey, I'll give you an access code, use it, and they will send me a notification when the delivery has been complete. This way I don't need to stress about my package coming in.
Right. So we have the different personas already starting to rise to the top here, starting to get more clear, right? This is something we have to look at. When we start building stories, we have to say, well, who are we building these stories about, and who are we telling the stories to? So one example might be the social person who either doesn't want to be at home or is at home, has people over, wants to see faces, wants to interact, enjoys that aspect of control, of visibility, of letting people in. The other person is the don't bother me person, is set it and forget it, do it once, talk to me by text. I don't want to know about it. I don't want to waste my day on this because I'm napping, I'm busy, I'm out, I'm walking the dog, or I just don't want to interact. So there's lots of stories we could line up for the person who doesn't want to interact. There's lots of stories we could line up for the person who does want visibility. Tell me a little bit more about other potential use cases. So we have the person doesn't want to be bothered. We have the person that is okay with two-way video and audio and chatting and access and letting people in. Give me some other situations that access actually really fits into their life really well.
So one interesting aspect is when people like downsize, they go from like houses to basically a condo because they get elderly, they don't have kids anymore running around. It's like less maintenance, right? When they start living in smaller communities, they need to trade off, like they share environments, so common areas, right? They're called, the common areas have a certain limitation, which means they have seasonality. The example is the pool, right?
Yep.
Whenever the temperature rises in Montreal, everyone shows up at the pool. That's kind of like the classic, right? But you have those group age conflict. You got the late 20s, early 20s, the mid 30s, the 50s, and the 60s all meeting up together, right? And they have different realm of communication of, 20s more baby party mode, and the 60s are more, I want to read my book, right? And I'm throwing ideas here. It doesn't need to fit, right?
Yeah.
The thing that happens is we have infrastructure right now in buildings to have allocation. Let's say your pool has 30 seats, right? But you want to know if there's some people on the roof or not. Or am I going to show up and try to bother someone to ask them a room? Or I'll just look it up on the app and say, hey, there's like 4 seats free. How about I go now? And then I can go later. Alleviate the risk of me going upstairs, getting ready to go to the pool and figure out there's no room, right? So we have systems like that. We use AI for that, which is you don't have direct feed of the pool. I don't want you to see the video, but we have allocation seats. So I can see the map of the room and say, hey, I have 3 seats here, 4 seats here free. You can go now, or this place is full right now. Don't bother even showing up. And that applies also to the gym. And when I go to the gym in the morning, I don't want to go show up there and then figure out it's full. I'd like to see it from my phone. Hey, how many seats, how many spots in the gym are free right now? And based on the quantity of individual, I can decide, is it a good time for me or not? So that's kind of the feature set also we offer on that.
Great. So now you're already talking in ways that people would understand and see themselves in, which is already a great jump forward. So you're giving me use cases of, I'm alleviating frustration. I'm giving you better access to your environment, to your building, to your life. You called this access for a reason. Tell me a bit more about that.
The name of it is quite interesting. One of the reasons why we started this project is, okay, so again, going to product shop, we work on crazy sizes project with cool clients and really cool stuff, but like, like moonshot style stuff. And like the problem with moonshot is you don't see them really happening. You never really use what you build. You're just building for future, and you're building with companies that sometimes you don't even interact with technology. So Axis come on the problem that what I used to live and used to be also my office, they had a shitty intercom system. And I used to have a lot of people visiting. I mean, client visiting the office or package delivery or family coming. And my frustration was really high into not able to open the door and getting bothered all the time. So first of all, the first customer was myself. So we built this system for myself. And then when we saw it working, we're like, hey, how about we try to monetize in this and start sell it to others.
Where I would want to go for something like this is, I understand your business side challenge, right? I understand the challenge where it's probably a little easier for you to get into the building. It's probably decently easy, maybe you'll tell me, to get that access or get that app into people's hands for that initial download. I don't know if we've discussed it in this hour yet. Tell us a bit more about the challenge of now monetizing it from the condo owner's perspective, so that then we can make those features that you want to monetize really interesting in terms of story, in terms of emotionality, in terms of, oh, this is worth it in my life. I need this. So give us a bit of background on that challenge that I've been privy to and a little bit in the background to understand.
So in our market, it's interesting. You have those players, without naming them, that sells you intercom systems, and it comes from like dozens to $50,000 value system integration. It's a one-off pay. You just pay it once, you have it for life. But the problem is these systems like age, and you just pay maintenance, so technician coming all the time fixing them. I mean, technician rates $200, $250, and this is not even emergency in weekends. But if you're and the time of response is between 1 and 2 days. If you lose access to your main door in the building with 200-300 residents, you're telling them, hey, it's going to take you like a weekend to get like your system back, it's a big hurdle, right? And then you bought the equipment, it's yours, right? So it's not like you're having a continuous support to any means. That technology is just sold a one-off and you deal with consequences. A lot of like the 1990s style technology development. Now we're coming and say, hey, we're basically a SaaS. We're coming in, technology, hardware is commodity. We are the manufacturer. We're not resellers. We're direct to customers in terms of like manufacturing to delivery to installation. We hold the whole like value chain there. And we tell the users, hey, it's almost zero to install. I mean, actually, we just charge the installation fee, not the hardware fees. And then basically we're trying to monetize through two flows. One of them is from the HOA directly, because we do offer some services to HOA. And at the same time, we do offer some premium packaging to customers that use the application, right? So let's say what we're trying to do right now is to figure out the assortment of features that we want to offer for free and the assortment of features that we want to offer as premium. And that's the market analysis we try to do. In the web world, with my under 40s, I can E/B test, I can do a lot of strategy, I can do surveys. In my world with the 60s older and in physical frame, like a building, like we just don't know how to reach and how to communicate around that.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of partnership happens? So I want to understand the storytelling opportunities here. So is it the HOA that's going to communicate, hey, we're switching over to Access? Is this something that has to happen at a condo association meeting? I want to understand the first touch point of people coming across this, because it's not your typical product that they would probably, they can't go buy this in the store. The company, like they might, if they hear about it from a neighbor or a friend who already happens to have it. And again, I want to get to that sentence of what someone would tell, or other sentences that people using this might tell their friends and neighbors. But my point is, sometimes the medium is the message. I want to understand how this story of Access gets in front of them first. Is it a meeting, condo association, a notice in the elevator, a flyer under their door? How are they, or is it some clever even advertising on Facebook and areas where boomers still do spend some time, so that they can actually ask for it in their building? That's a whole other angle. How does the story present itself right now? What are the touch points?
So right now we're doing more to mouth between condo association or developers. That was been like working for the last 6 months for us. So it's mostly organic growth. We're not doing marketing or any targeting. The end user, the resident, just knows about access when the HOA decide to install it. Usually they do a mass email with our communication. So we do have video content, a deck, and everything. But I'll tell you, like most of the people don't go after page 2, and they don't really bother reading those emails. So the system, the way it's built, it's actually a smooth transition, meaning we still have those phone line calls. So when we do the conversion, there's no hurdles. We try not to push everyone to the app first. So we try to do this transition from, hey, how about we take your phone number and call you, and then we send you a message, and then like, hey, now you can convert to the app. Please install the app.
Got it.
Statistically, we're able to do around 30-40% conversion first base. So we have this like nice chunk of people that are like really coming in, taking over, loving the technology, reaching out to us and happy to pay for it. Now, what we're trying to do is like hit the long tail of 60-70% that these guys are just, I don't think they even read the email really. And how do we reach them and communicate around it?
So how can you make your email simpler? What's that email saying right now? And why is there a page 2?
Well, I mean, the email is not written by us. It's copied. It's a copy that we create, and the HOA does own the relationship, so they send it. Most of it is like trying to, okay, so if I remember right, and I'm coming from memory, I don't have it in front of me. What happens mostly is that email stipulate the risk of transition. So it just says, hey, guys, don't worry, there's a new system, but you have nothing to do.
Okay, so already a major touch point might have massive drop off or just get massively ignored because it says you don't have to worry about anything. Then we have add more friction to it because now you're saying, well, just give us your phone number. We'll contact you, or we'll push you to upgrade. And say, well, what do you mean I need to upgrade? What do you mean I need an app? Then there's this idea of discovery. Right? If you actually get to those different levels, you got into the building, they communicated it's coming, you don't need to do anything, but then something happens. You'll have to clarify me on that. Something happens to get the phone number to say, I'm assuming, Ahmed, you're going to link to an app store in that text message or that phone call? Okay.
We do that. Yeah, on the text message. So we do text them, so we send them that. Yeah. And just to jump in still, on the 30 to 40% of conversion that we have on the user base, these people interact with the app 3.1 times a day in average. I mean, I don't know how many apps you have on your phone that you download that you open 3.1 times a day.
No, that's great. That's great.
So that's crazy.
And do you have ideas? Again, I don't think we're going to bake many stories right now, but do you have ideas of what those 3.1 use cases are? Are people coming over? Are they just randomly checking the front? Is this always visitor initiated? What's happening in those 3.1 cases?
Most of it, I believe, is actually people opening their own doors because there's a really convenient feature set, which is you don't need to scan your key fob to open the door. You can just use your phone. Mm-hmm. And most people just walk in and open the garage and their phone with it, right? Yeah. So it becomes this like habit, like it's like almost like the Zippo smoker guy, it's like flipping the Zippo. I feel like I see people walking their phone and opening the door to get in it. And to a point that we need a 99.5% uptime because people start forgetting their keys, so they don't have backup. So the moment something doesn't work, they blame us for it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You made your product too good, man. So we're talking about
for the people we convert. For the people we convert, it's pretty good.
There you go. So you're talking about changing habits here. You're talking about people getting used to it. You're talking, and my mind goes to the storytelling opportunities in there. Some of the storytelling already is just how this thing is designed. I joked before, but I was serious. Like, are the buttons big? Are the fonts large? Right? If you're talking boomers, this has to be very easy to use. I don't want to fumble. I don't want to have anything extra to think about when I'm trying to open the garage, let someone in, open my door, or set up my account. Just the storytelling around how it's designed. You mentioned UX, UI before. That's going to be just something that psychologically says, wow, they've thought of things. This is reliable. This looks good. This operates well. Then there's the opportunities as you're starting to get to know people to say, how can I introduce now that next feature? How can I introduce, we talked about these paid features. Give me an idea of some of the paid features and why I might even consider them.
So for us, I mean, this is a hard question actually. So let's go back to our UX UI first. So for us, UX UI right now, the system is made as like a Fisher Price. Okay, and the interface is thick buttons, no scrollable menus, a menu bar. You have 4 options. Most of the option of the execution are the home page. Like the others are basically settings or historical data seeing. So we're trying to keep it simple. You just have one view and everything is from that view, okay? So there's not much navigation or anything like that. On the onboarding flow, we have a 3 steps onboarding, which is like, like hand holding when you onboard the first time. So that I think we nailed. The design is not great and need to be worked on, but the UX is pretty clean, in my opinion. So like still TBD on the design.
So here we have a condo association, homeowners association making a decision.
Yeah.
We have one of our main opportunities to introduce this product and tell the initial story about it, right? That email can contain a quick link, an embed to a video where we tell a really good story about this product to make people want. That's your biggest and earliest opportunity, aside from signage in the building, right? These are introductory opportunities. I would push as part of your opening package, signage opportunities, a countdown to when it's happening, right? We don't want to have anyone fearful. I love the idea that it's frictionless. I love the idea you don't have to do anything. But I also love the idea that for that initial curiosity, we start showing the idea of the phone in the hand. We start showing the idea of you can scan a QR code or something in that elevator, or press a link in that email to go take me to a short video that shows me all the benefits and prompts me to download it, and even right there, right, go to the App Store right away, or download it early, get ahead of the crowd. So what I was asking is, or actually I'm backing up, I'm going to scrap that question for now around why would people upgrade. I want to get to the story of why would I go install it. And one thing that's missing for me in this equation, we'll come back in a second. One thing that's missing, let's say the building buys it, they install it. How is it that I don't have to do anything? You're saying I could just use my landline as is. That is now the system behind the landline or the mobile phone. Like I'll get the call, I'll press 9 like I used to, but for an enhanced experience, I can get the app. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, the approach we did is we're trying to limit the friction, right? So for us, the idea, if people are already using a landline, we're converting landline to a digital call. It is a digital call. So it's not like an analog as it used to be. So we're using like VoIP calls, like voice over IP call. And we do like capture the tone. So it's kind of the same system with an upgrade in infrastructure. So we do a seamless transition for users. So they don't need to do anything. So it's not like you're losing access to your building because you didn't install Access app. That would have been a failure by design. Because I mean, imagine if I go tomorrow to a building with 300 residents, and then the next day I flip the switch and like 80% of them can't open the door. That's not a success story here. So I think we ironed down the transition on that. And I think that's actually when we shoot ourselves in the foot too, because we do such a seamless transition in that first phase that people just forget the existence of the system in the long run. So it's a curse. It's like, it's the positive side that became a curse to the end of it, right?
That's it. So that's what we've uncovered here. And I totally agree. You've made it so simple that people can ignore it. So now how do we say, how do I get people to not ignore it? How do I actually sell it as you don't have to do anything, or maybe don't even tell them, right? Like, I know you kind of want to, but maybe that's not the heart. Maybe that's not the headline or the subhead. Maybe that's not that we've installed a new system. You don't have to do anything. Maybe the you don't have to do anything comes at the bottom. Maybe it's we've installed Access. If you want to grab the app, you watch this video, you can do this. You can go play bridge and let someone in and talk to them two-way. You can check the status of your EV. You can give a code. Don't feel like talking to anyone? I can give a code to that delivery person. And then the bottom line says, and the great news, you don't actually have to do anything if you don't want to. You decide how you want to experience the benefits of Access. So my point here is use that introductory time frame to have physical media and messaging that you help the homeowners association control. Now, I know some of them will say, thank you, Ahmed, we've installed it. Cool, it's in there. And maybe there has to be a little bit of benefit in their in there for them somehow. Maybe that's totally against the rules. But my point is, that's where the storytelling, I think, begins. Is I know it's safe. I know it's secure. I know I don't have to do anything. But if I do, look at the enhancement to my life. Look at the friction it removes. Look at the shift that happens in my life. Look at the future. Look what the future can look like in one download. Then you start worrying about upgrading to paid. But I'm just looking, when I look strategically at storytelling, I say, well, what are my opportunities? What are my insights?
It's interesting you bring it up. I like the idea. And I mean, I'm thinking out loud here, and this is a live session. It's quite funny because you can throw ideas and see if it sticks, right? So, and just something that originally we try not to touch is anything social interaction. We just felt like it's gimmicky to get into social interaction in app. Said like, yeah, Facebook and WhatsApp and like Instagram and like TikTok exist. Why would I do something like that, right? But the more you touch base on like my neighbor tell me or my friend tell me install this app as a strategy for conversion, the more I'm interested to explore the idea. I was like, hey, look, if 40% of my client base install the app and loves it, but the other 60 don't know about it because, I mean, they just don't talk about it. What if we add some more social interaction in the app? Meaning, should we do something like kind of like, group chats forums, which is like dedicated groups for communication? Because one of the hurdles in this industry is the relationship between the building manager and the resident. There's always frustration. Like they always have issues. But like the resident between each other do chat, like, they walk like the elevator at the entrance, they interact, right? So what if we use the app as a vehicle for communication between residents and their ability to create certain group chat and moderate them themselves, obviously, and then not direct messaging, in my opinion, but just the idea of like creating threads of communication to a certain extent.
Well, I'm also going to make the assumption that when Joe is on vacation, he can allow access to Martha through the app to buzz anyone in, get a package, that sort of thing. So that already gives me extra features and benefits and a little bit of security where, oh, I'm not going to miss that package. Or if XYZ comes, don't let them in, right? There could be every angle to stories around there. But I think you're making me think again. This is live. This is how we think and brainstorm out loud. You're making me think of even the idea of, first of all, you want to introduce this and get access into people's minds. So again, I do think you need posters in elevators. I do think you need things mailed or things put on doors or things slid on the door, flyers, pamphlets, that sort of thing. I do think those items have to have easy access to an explainer video. I think that's the easiest way in sight, sound, feel, motion, that kind of thing to tell the story you want to tell. We'll try in the next few minutes to maybe craft some of that storytelling. But I also think that once people are recognizing that, you might even want to do some geo-fence, geo-targeted social campaigns that I'm scrolling because the audience you're talking about does still scroll Facebook. I think that's probably the number one. I'll make a guess. That's the number one app they probably still use.
That category, you're probably right. Yeah, that's probably.
And there might be things like CTV app and these kind of things. Well, we're in Montreal now, so right, it might be news apps. I'm wondering if there's some advertising that goes around there too, where they've recognized this thing. It's been introduced in an email. They've seen it coming literally in their hands, in their door, in their mail, in a pamphlet, in a flyer, in the elevators, these kind of things. I'm wondering if there's other storytelling opportunities that reinforces the features and the functions and the benefits in an emotional storytelling way that says, wow, I should get that app. And almost to the degree of, did you get your Access app yet? Right? Almost to that degree of you're missing out if you don't. And all the happy people like them using it, right? Photography, like video storytelling, photography of people actually in a use case of the product is very influential. Think of all these buildings you're talking about, senior living, or you guys were joking before, seniors own most of the condos because they've downsized. Think of how these senior living environments, which again, access could be another benefit of buying in a building. We'll talk about people even coming in. But my point is, they always tell a story in their imagery of happy seniors, of happy people doing their thing, of happy communication, happy life. So we want to show how your life becomes happier, more connected, more controlled. There's more access to I don't want to say access your happiness, that kind of thing, but that's so generic. We talked when you guys were briefing me on this around the idea of your front door being that access to your world.
Yeah.
Right? This is really your world in your hand. There's still that sense of control. There's still that sense of understanding what's going on. There's still that sense of preferences. Even that extra feature you just talked about, where is there a chat? Is there a follow friends feature? Because I'm assuming there's some.
I'll use thread, the term thread, then chat. I'm worried about chat in those kind of environments.
Fine, but tell me something. When you talked about reserving spots at the pool, was that because the app knows where it is?
So it's not really
reserving. Phones are upstairs.
No, it's camera feed AI processing. So the pools have cameras for security reason, and we tap out on that infrastructure. So I'm able to do image processing, but we don't want to show the video feed for privacy reasons, right? So what we do is we overlay on top of it like seats, and then basically tell you which seat is busy or not.
Very interesting. So little red dots or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. When you when you go to the airport and you do that scanning thing, it shows you yellow where you may have something in your pocket. It's a yellow square. It's the same thing. We overlay on top of it a map, and then the map we give it a color.
Got it. So let's talk as we start wrapping up here. Again, we talked about the idea of friction and the shift and the future. We didn't get into it deeply, but what I want to remind you is you want insight around your customers. You want to understand the storytelling opportunities and the storytelling reinforcement. You want to understand the frequency of message to even get into someone's heart and mind, to even have them understand what access is. And I don't think you want to tell them so fast that you don't have to do anything. I think you want to tell them you want to do something, and we want to get into a point of, why would I want to do this? Because it enhances my life. Because I can, like you said, don't bother me. I can choose. Like, I see the scenario. You know when we look at these character-driven commercials, Apple's really good at them. I think IKEA does some here and there, where they look at lifestyles from different perspectives.
Yep.
You might want to shoot a little spot of the lifestyle of the grumpy person who cannot be bothered with anything. And at the end, he's happy because he put in his code and no one bothers him. To the social butterfly who is constantly, we cut. Gym, mahjong, pool.
Yeah, I got you. I know what you're getting. It's good.
And she's always like, ring, come on in. Hey, maybe that's your tagline. Come on in. I don't know. But
yeah, that's interesting. I like it, actually. It's funny because we're talking about this, but we forgot one thing is we have a 27-inch screen at the entrance of a building, and we're not doing a thing with that real estate. So even before starting sending flyers or like doing an ad, maybe just the idea of like posting content on the screen that people see every time they come in and out could be interesting too. The thing is, how do you do content around that without becoming too gimmicky or too heavy, right? Because it's still the entrance.
That's why we look at insight. Like, again, gimmicky and heavy. I'd love for you to define that, but we're running out of time. And the idea is real slices of life and insight. I just gave you some insights. I made assumptions. You talked about the person who wants to be antisocial. Cool. Let's show them in a setting. Now, again, I always lean humorous, but I understand if you have a slideshow that's going on silent or a silent video on a screen in a lobby, you have to tell your story differently. It's going to have to be just really clear what's happening. And you're going to probably have to have some text overlays to say,
yeah, you're not going to have audio there.
All the access you want or don't, right? Share your codes to get deliveries even when you're not here. Don't interrupt your mahjong game while you let in your loved ones. Like, these kind of things are interesting things. And what did we say was a potential tagline there?
Come on in.
Come on in. Yeah, access coming in. Yeah, that's
come in. Come on in.
That kind of thing, because that is an insight. That is what people actually say. That's language people actually use. Ring. Oh, come on in, right? So
that's a good one. Tagline, actually. I might use that. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that one. That's a good one.
Hey,
that's a good one.
So I think we got to somewhere here.
Yeah, that's good.
So give me a recap of what might have changed in your mindset and your approach right now to putting aside the technology speak, you have that. You rock that. To now talking like and talking to and talking with your customers.
So my biggest take here is the network effect. Is I've been segmenting and saying I have user adopt and early adopters and love the tech, and I have a bunch of users that just basically don't even see the PowerPoints or whatever, don't convert. And I never thought about the idea of like bridging those two worlds and say, hey, they're friends, they're neighbors. One can talk to the other. So that network effect, acquisition through network effect, is something that I'm quite interested in because we have that outreach. We have 40% or 30% of the population already in our app, so we can notify them, send them, communicate with them, and try to make them convert. That's one. Second, what I love most is like emotional related to feature sets. I mean, I'm an engineer. Feature sets is functionality. I'm solving problems, but I don't forget that problems induce emotion response, right? So, and solving them also induce emotion response. So that bridge and say, hey, how do they feel about using your app, and express how do they feel, not describe the functionality, but describe the feeling of it, is something that, I mean, didn't think about. Sounds like obvious, but it's not. Thank you.
It's a different mindset, right?
Yeah.
It's a totally different mindset. And I think even in building it, you don't even realize the things you're solving that actually make people feel great.
That's a good point.
Right? That actually like solve problems and make their lives easier. Right? You thought of all the things, oh, I can monetize it in this way. But you have to say, well, what would be worth someone paying for? How do I make their life better with less friction? Even a one-time credit card entry, like we'll get to all of that after.
Yeah.
But how do I give my message enough in a way that resonates, that shows me you get me, shows me you understand the insights around my life and how I might even use this thing, and you reflect it back to me in the way people are using it or have used it to improve their lives. I'd like to be one of them. I'd like to be that to be my future state. So the other thing, again, I think we uncovered is the storytelling opportunities, screens, elevators, the introduction. I think that needs to be part of your package. I think that needs to be part of how you sell this in, where you say, we're not only selling this infrastructure HOA, we're actually selling a better lifestyle for your entire building. This is something that's going to make people be more interested to pay even a higher price to get into this building. As a rental or a condo, this is better for resale. This is better for life. And help us tell this story to your residents multiple times.
I think the community layer is something we're missing. I don't want to, again, I'm using the term gimmicky. I don't want it to be like a DM chat platform things. This is out of control.
No.
You want the thread concept. Also, even using the screen real estate. I mean, we can add more screens actually in the lobby as an offering to allow to see agenda activities and events that are happening in the building. People forget to connect around those things. So maybe open up more into like, hey, what's going on in my building? That's something we don't use. A social layer of it. Not just the interaction like communication as threads, but just, hey, there is like garage game next week, and hey, we're doing a pool party tomorrow. Someone's doing a game of this. So that kind of like, insights of the social community in the building is something I think we need to explore more.
There you go. And your order of operations is, how do I get attention? How do I make people care? How do I make people convert? And then how do I make people upgrade? Right?
Trust me, I get a few guys on my team on the right here taking notes. I can see them right now. They're like smiling at me. It's like, this is a great discussion. They've been sitting silently, but they're really taking notes right now. Thanks, Jeff.
I just heard some chatter on the side that said, well, what does the dog think? So
I think he's going to turn the camera. We do have a little audience on the right side.
The studio audience.
Maybe I might want to add a story, an emotional story.
Your mic in?
Yeah, perfect. Amazing. So this grandma came up to us and she said, thank you, because every time my granddaughters come in, I don't need to walk down the stairs, go to the elevator and open the door for them. And that she can go on the app and just open the door. And the app also allows us to add additional residents. So even her granddaughters are now on the app and they enter in without any hassle, without having to bother. And that sort of story, and she coming up to us personally to thank us because she's seen us install, was just a good feeling for us internally as well in terms of the value that we provide to residents directly.
It's so funny because I mean, this sounds like a bit like personal too. Is actually my dad lives in one of the buildings that we converted. And it became a family discussion. Everything, there's a bug obviously in feature sets. So, and lately he's like, I don't need to carry my fob to open the garage anymore because he has 2 cars and he has only 1 fob. Obviously, hard to get a fob in these buildings. So he's like, now I can use the phone to open the door and like remotely, if they get like guests, whatever, be able also to open the door for the garage, which is something that people is like, hold on, I can open my garage door with my phone is a thing. And like there's like small bridges and like small value prop we're good at. But frankly, the highlight of the discussion is more the social layers. How can we get more insights of what's happening between the residents and each other's around the community, if that makes sense?
Those are the stories that actually put emotion and memory, right? Those stories you tell in a meeting and you say, hey, you know what? A resident actually came up to us, a grandmother, and you want a few details, 75-year-old, 80-year-old grandmother, whatever you want to say. And she lives alone and she's on the 4th floor. And she thanked us because she doesn't have to go downstairs anymore. And her grandkids can come in. And that story you said about your dad. So these are all stories of third-party people selling for you. And they're real stories. And these are the things that resonate. These are the things that people can see themselves in. So anytime, to wrap it up, you're looking to tell stories, base them in truth, base them in lived experience, base them in insight, and base them in emotion. That way, the attention, when they say, oh, what's this access thing? It actually starts to mean something. There's actually understanding, and people can see themselves as a hero in that story. And Ahmed, you are the hero of this story.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. And this is really insightful. I mean, you always started this journey. I'm like, what's going on here? What's going to happen? And like, frankly, and we discuss about the format of 1 hour. Can we really bring value? Like, we're not, I mean, by the way, if anyone is online here, we're actually not faking it. This is real life. Like, we're just going through that story.
It's not scripted.
It's not scripted at all. So I just want to really highlight it. And you did a great job in like going to summarize it and bring value to it. I appreciate Jeff you doing that.
Thank you. I had no clue where we were going with this, but I think we ended up in a good place.
We get somewhere. We'll get somewhere. It's a good delivery. Appreciate it.
You know what? I don't think anyone knew where this was going, and that's the point. One of the things that I also kind of want to put out there, because it's stuck with me since we like first spoke, which was the idea around whoever controls the door controls the relationship. Yeah. You're talking about visitors, you're talking about deliveries, you're talking about security, services. It's such an infrastructure play, and it's so interesting. And I think that the come on in idea and the tagline really plays to this like lifestyle. So I think we came a really long way. Big thank you to Ahmed. Big thank you to Jeff for opening up the creative process. We'll be seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a good day.